G'day, you beautiful bastards. Welcome to Two's Company, Three's a Podcast weekly YouTube review. My name is Mitchell, along with...
He's done it again, it's Dylan.
That's right, exactly. And our weekly YouTube review segment is called... What is that called, Dylan?
It is called Two's Company, Three's a Podcast, 2c3pod, DTCR does the cinema.
That's correct. And along with this segment comes some catchy theme music, Dylan. So whack that button and let's get into it. Coming at you fresh, coming from afar, it's 2c3pod DTCR. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for 2c3pod DTCR does the cinema.
That's right.
Now, we do a podcast each week where we have a segment called Yas or Pass, where we preview the films coming to theaters that weekend for us. And from that preview, we take one film and we go and see it for this here very segment.
That's right. This week, we got the pleasure to see the latest Seth Rogen film.
Yes.
Heavily led Seth Rogen film, An American Pickle. An American Pickle is Brandon Trost's directorial debut. So an exciting one to see, and especially with it being a Warner Brothers HBO Max original film, actually coming to cinemas, which is a refreshing take, which is really nice. I got to see this over the weekend, and my expectations were, I'm not really sure if they were really met.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I do have some comparisons to talk about this film, about previous actors who have taken a stab at a very similar concept, and ones that didn't work. As a whole, though, my experience with An American Pickle, as odd as the film may be, I was pleasantly surprised with this film.
Yes, no, absolutely. I went in there probably with the same type of expectation as you. I was expecting a funny, heartwarming, like all-in type film.
Yeah.
And I think it almost lived up to my expectations. Yeah. But I still, from start to finish, I was still glued to it. Yeah. I had a great time with this film.
So did I, yeah.
But I can see why this was a streaming service film as opposed to a theatrical release across the world. Yeah, and as you mentioned, we were lucky enough to get it because of the current pandemic going on and stuff like that. Our cinemas, because they're open, are scraping for content. So we got An American Pickle. And I've got no complaints in getting it, and I'm glad I got to see this.
That's right.
You can see that it is a HBO film.
That's correct. And even though, like, we always talk about this in our regular podcast, links are all down below, about how streaming service films are getting better. They are certainly getting better. They don't have the stigma of being direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD anymore.
Yes.
And I think this is definitely a testament to that. And when I say, like, comparisons in terms of, like, other actors who have done similar sort of roles, I'm talking about like Eddie Murphy's with like The Nutty Professor and Martin Lawrence, how they play multiple actors in the same, multiple characters in the same film. Yeah. And I feel that this film could have been...
Did Martin Lawrence play multiple characters?
There was Big Mama's House.
Yeah, but wasn't he just Mama?
Yeah, but there was I'm pretty sure there was another film where there was like a dining scene, kind of like Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor. There's something in my mind that tells me that he's done something similar.
You could also mention Adam Sandler. With Jack and Jill.
Anyway, back to a good film.
Yes, exactly.
So Seth Rogen essentially plays two characters. He plays a Jewish fellow. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
I'll pull that up.
Mr. Greenbaum.
Herschel.
Herschel Greenbaum in like the 1800s or whatever it was in Eastern Europe. He had in Slopsk. Yeah, that's right. So he's a very old-timey kind of fellow. And he gets pickle brined, like pickled in pickle brine.
In 1920.
That's right, for 100 years, and he re-emerges in the modern day in 2019, I believe the year is.
Oh, okay, so 1919.
Yeah, and the only family he has is the Seth Rogen character of the modern day who plays the exact same age.
That's right.
And there's two wildly different characters interacting with each other, and where I thought this film was going to go was like an emotional journey with the two of them, like learning about each other and learning off each other and how to succeed and how to progress. Because in the trailer, it's heavily implied that this modern day Seth Rogen Greenbaum character, Ben, is it Ben Greenbaum?
Ben Greenbaum,
is a bit of a loser, and he's trying and he just can't quite get there. But most of the film tells the story of these two men competing.
Exactly, that's right.
That's where it doesn't lose me, but I was kind of a little bit let down with what my expectation was of the story.
I get that, but I feel like without the story of them competing, there would not nearly have been enough comedy for a Seth Rogen type film.
This definitely has that Seth Rogen-esque comedy sprinkled throughout it.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like if you took that out and just had them learning off each other, differences, and maybe getting upset at each other as they do in the film,
it'd be an effective drama with a silly concept.
Exactly, that's right, and that's where the film would probably lose something. But at the same time, it could have gained something. You're completely right there, 100%. Now, going back to where he first gets pickle brine and stuff, I just need to give a shout out to my apologies, give a shout out to the writers for the perfect fucking explanation of the pickle brining.
I wanted to bring this up.
It was fucking brilliant.
That's right.
I loved how they did that.
This film has the absolutely perfect scientific explanation as to how this works.
It is phenomenal.
Other films that involve like time travel and strange concepts about, you know, moving through time and space and whatever else, they either skip over completely with no explanation, or they go too hard in trying to explain the story,
or the scientific, like the details and the chemical balance and
that's
all
right.
of this,
and then everybody who watches the film goes, well, it wouldn't happen like that. This film, I don't want to spoil it.
No, I don't want to. I want to spoil it, but I don't because it's just that good.
Yeah, this film has a perfect moment where it just outlines the fact that we all know this is silly, and so do they. So there's a moment where it's just laid out, and that's all there is to it, and I love that.
100%.
That was probably my almost favorite moment in this film.
Oh, that was definitely the moment I came out going, I cannot wait to talk about that moment. You know, it's just, so well done. Full credit to the writers for that, and obviously Rogan and the scientist delivery as well, and the media personalities. Yeah, perfect moment. But the film as a whole, I didn't, like I said, I didn't mind the competing nature of that story. You know, I get that. You know. And making Ben the great-great-grandson of Herschel feel like absolute trash for failing at life harder than a dude who has been pickle brined for 100 years.
Yes, who's all of a sudden emerged, and he's made himself a social media presence. He's got a successful pickle business, which you do see in the trailer.
Yeah, the social media presence.
And then there's that jealousy element, but it all comes together towards the end and explains as to why Ben's been failing. Yeah, essentially.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah,
they work out their differences.
No, that's right.
With a positive result.
Exactly. And just the idea that a man from 1919, 100 years later, can come back into our hipster fucking cool world and be niche and cool and make that much money that quickly kind of thing.
Have you seen the movie?
I'm kind of like, that would actually happen because people are dickheads.
I definitely thought that as well. The way that they played out with the whole, like with the modern interpretation of how Twitter works and the internet and, you know, with
cancel culture.
The cancel culture and all of those modern themes. Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Have you seen The Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron?
No, I haven't.
That film is heavily littered with like modern day comedic, elements of, what would happen if somebody tweeted something that was offensive long ago, but now is different.
Yeah, that's right.
Different points of views of religion and veganism. And this film definitely has some of those elements to it, but it's like, unlike, some films these days, it's not so heavy-handed where you would be offended by it if you are one of those people who believes in these things.
There was nothing in this film that made me go, oof, offensive, like it was they mentioned some things and it's kind of like, that's funny.
Yeah, because a man who emerged from the year 1919 would definitely have different views of how women should be and how religion could affect modern day life. Yeah. But it's not too heavy-handed, which is good.
No, exactly. That's right. Now, the film as a whole, I've got to say, however you felt about the middle, the competing portion of it that kind of like maybe not lost you a little bit, but, you just weren't as invested in. I've got to say, the wrap-up of the film, I don't want to spoil anything, but when I'm just going to say the country or whatever, Splutz. Yeah, that scene there with the two of them.
Got the heart pumping?
Oh, yeah. That definitely, as in, I didn't cry in this film, okay? Seth Rogen, I'm sorry, but two of you didn't make me cry. Exactly, that's right. And I cry like a bitch. So, but the wrapping up of the film from start of story to end there, I was like, this is... That was nice.
The very end when they reveal their plan, I could see that coming a mile away. And if that was
100%.
If that was mentioned earlier, the whole thing would have been over in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. If Ben just wasn't so stubborn and Herschel kind of understood a little bit more, they would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. We should make a pickle business
That's
together.
Right. But that's the emotional journey that they have. It's just they prolong the battle between it. And that's okay. And that's okay because some of the things that do happen in that battle are funny and there's some great moments.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Let's talk about the acting for a moment. Because some of these films have been produced in the past, with certain different actors, but this really gives the chance for someone like Seth Rogen to almost play himself, but almost not play himself.
Exactly.
And another actor with actual acting chops, essentially, or somebody who's known to have acting chops, like Daniel Day-Lewis, for example.
Oh, okay.
That's a very high bar.
Oh, yeah, that's the bar.
What I'm saying. Would have been able to come into a film like this and nobody would care. Because it's expected to have that transformation. But Seth Rogen, I feel, There are some moments where the acting is a little bit like, okay, it's typical Seth Rogen comedy.
A little bit lazy.
But I think like the dynamic between Ben and Herschel and the differences, I think it was on point, man. I think he did a magnificent job in playing this old school Jewish Russian character with his accent and the way he dresses and his mannerisms.
Yep.
To then swap that over to the modern day version, I think it was brilliant. I thought that was like A+.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is one of those films that I would love for there to be a Blu-ray release, because I want to see behind the scenes of Seth having to stay in this character for an entire scene, bouncing off somebody, just reading the lines, and then jump over to the other side, be that character, bounce off somebody reading the lines off screen. You know, like, I would love to see that balance, because I feel like he actually put a lot into this, and we definitely get a lot in return from him. You know, it's unexpectedly great.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, like, his performance was great.
One thing I want to know as well is that if we do get Blu-ray behind the scenes, the making of to a film like this, how long it would have taken. Because usually, like, you have your actors, and if they nail a scene or they get it right or there's a few takes, that's done.
Yeah.
But every scene in this has either one or the other type of Seth Rogen character.
No, that's right.
They would have had to film every single scene twice. Minus the outtakes.
Well, honestly, the amount of shooting probably wasn't any more than a normal film, because you focus on that camera angle, you're directing that camera angle for that scene. All right, we're going to do the exact same scene from this camera angle, but the difference is he has to jump out of costume. Yeah, he has to get changed and all of that. You know what I mean?
In this case, he grew that beard. That beard is natural. No, so he filmed the entire Herschel scenes. Yeah. And then went back and filmed the Ben scenes.
Exactly.
So technically, like, in some cases where films have characters interacting, they'll have the two cameras. Yeah. And they'll record multiple takes of the same conversation. In this case, they would have had to take multiple conversations of one side and then do it again with the other side. Yeah. So I feel like it might
it definitely would have taken longer.
Might not have doubled, but it would have at least been like, you know.
It's definitely...
half and a bit.
Definitely more effort and work.
That's right.
But so overall, your overall impressions. Do you have a rating out of 10?
If I have a 10 out, if I have to give this a rating out of 10, I would give it an 8.
Okay.
A solid 8. And whenever people give number ratings, they never give any context. So the reason where those 2 points come from is just because my expectation of the story wasn't necessarily exceeded. It just kind of took a bit of a left turn for me, and that's what kind of loses the 2 points. But otherwise, outside of that, the story is great. Yes. The explanation of the story is great. The characters that are involved in their journey from A to B was fantastic. It's just that story sidestep for me was not a letdown, but that's just what brought it down a little bit. So American Pickle for me, solid 8. Yeah,
no, I completely agree with you. One of the rare weeks where we have the exact same designation. I have solid 8 out of 10 as well. I had a fantastic time with it. I didn't feel like anything wasted my time, but at the same time, I could see this being played by another actor. You take out that competing story, make it a bit more, learning kind of curve and that, and learning off each other and disagreeing and stuff like that, and you would have a fantastic drama. But you chuck in Seth Rogen, give him a chance to act. You've got the Seth Rogen comedy sprinkled throughout as well. Yeah. Exactly, that's right. If this was a drama with a serious actor and it had that competing story kind of thing, this would probably be a 6.
That's what I was mentioning earlier. Like, if we had someone else do it, my example was just like a person who can character act really well, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. But and you kept that the same competing story, it wouldn't be the same. But you sprinkle that Seth Rogen comedy throughout, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's been our review of An American Pickle. Let us know what your thoughts are down below and what you're going to see next and what you're looking forward to. If anything's coming out for the rest of 2020, we want to know. Let us know down below.
Absolutely, that's right. Make sure to check out the podcast. All links are down below, but go to your favorite platform. Just search 2c3pod and we will be there 100%. That's right. We have a cliche slogan to bust through, though. Yep. Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Big Summer Blight.
If you're a customer of Apple Music too, we got the email the other day that we are now on there too. So we always say every podcast platform, but there's always another one that comes out. So we're on all of them now, even more. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Turn on all the notifications.
Oh, do it.
Listen to the podcast.
Leave a review.
Leave a review as well. Watch our live stream, which you can find in the links down below as well when we record our podcast episodes. And thank you everybody for listening. My name is Dylan, and as always with my co-host
Mitchell. And do not forget, we are 2's Company, and you are the podcast.
Hey, thanks for checking out that video of 2's Company 3's a podcast. We really appreciate it. Wasn't it really something? Why don't you drop a comment down below while you're still here on what you thought about that video. And once you're done, go check out the next video. Feel free to hit subscribe as well. I think it'll be a really good investment for your future.